Well, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Shop Dog Fabrication. So today what we're going to be doing is maintenance on my wife's riding mower. So this is a Cub Cadet XT2. Really nice tractor. We've had it for a couple of years now. It's worked great. For those of you that have never done any maintenance to your mower before, I figured I'd go over just some basic things. How to check and clean your air filter or replace it. How to check your spark plugs and do the spark plug gap, change your oil. And then also I'm going to pull the deck off on this one and sharpen the blades on it. I can show you how to either do it with a hand file, you can do it with a Dremel. I'll probably use my angle grinder and just touch them up real quick and then go ahead and put them back on. We'll check the tire pressures and basically get it ready for springtime mowing. So if you've never done it before, like I said, I'll go through some of these things and help you with the maintenance of your lawn tractor. Now you can apply these to any lawn tractor, but we happen to have the Cub Cadet. So with that said, let me go ahead and set the camera up for a different position, and we'll start with the air cleaner. All right, so once you lift up the lid, there's a little cover right here in the very front of the engine. You go ahead and pull that back. On the left-hand side, there's a little T-handle, and I'll afterwards so you can see what I'm talking about and where it's at. There's a little T-handle. Loosen that up. And that's a little clamp on here. And then your filter will pop out. And you can see this filter is pretty darn dirty. So it's got a bunch of junk on it. Probably should be replaced at this point. It's been in here for a couple of years. However, with all the stuff going on in the world right now, I'm actually going to blow it clean. So with that, let me go ahead and get everything set up, and I'll show you how I blow this clean outside, because otherwise it'll make a mess indoors. So depending on your yard, if you just have a normal yard, you probably can do this just a couple of times throughout the summer. If you have more of a field that you're mowing, you may want to do this more often, to clean your filter so your lawnmower will run better. So you can see I use this style of air gun. It's got a nice tip, so I can get inside here and basically get all in around here and blow all the crap out from the inside as well as the outside, because when I hit this, you're going to see this stuff flying from all over the place. And now you can see we have a much cleaner air filter that will allow this lawn tractor to breathe a whole lot better. So now we'll go ahead and put this in reverse order. We go ahead, slip this back down in here onto the tube. Now you want to make sure your little handle here, or your little clamp, is off to the side and not straight up, because your lid will not close. So just kind of set it off to the side. I'll put a picture in as well, and then you can go ahead and close your lid. So that basically takes care of your air cleaner. The next thing we'll do is we'll check our spark plugs. All right, so there's two spark plugs on this engine. Here's the first one. This is on the left-hand side of the engine. And then there's also one in the exact same spot on the right-hand side. When you pull the spark plug boot off, you want to pull it by the boot, which attaches to the spark plug. You do not want to grab the wire up here and pull it by that, otherwise you'll pull the wire out of the boot and now you're screwed. So make sure you pull it by the boot and pull it loose. And so here's your boot, and then here's your spark plug. Takes a 3/16 socket, 3/16 of an inch socket to remove the spark plug. Now it's in aluminum cylinder head. So go ahead and remove it. I always like to just loosen them with the ratchet, and then I'll loosen them up by hand from there. So you can see it's threaded in there pretty far. So what you're looking for is to see if this tip is worn excessively or not. And I'll put a picture on here of a worn one and versus a good one. And what you want to do is, per the manual, you're supposed to have a 30 thousandths gap. So I'm using my gauge here, and 30 thousandths is right here at this point. 30 thousandths is right there at this point, so I'm going to check my gap to make sure it's good. So we'll slip it in here. And yes, it is. So 30 thousandths is good. Now what I'll do is go ahead and thread it back in. And again, this is a steel spark plug. It threads into aluminum. Do not thread it in with your socket wrench. Thread it in by hand so you don't cross thread it. And now what I'll do is I'll put the ratchet on. And you do not need to tighten this excessively. Again, it's aluminum, so you don't want to strip the threads out. Just give it a little bit, and that's all you need to do. And then just put your spark plug boot back on, and you're all set. So I'll go ahead and do the other side the exact same way. Guys, now let's talk about replacing the fuel filter here. This is on the right-hand side of the engine. Unfortunately, I don't have one due to the crazy times we're in right now with this COVID thing. But if I were to do it, this is how I would do it so I don't spill fuel all over the place. I've got two small pair of vice grips. These are a long nose vice grip. What I've got here is just a couple plastic caps. You can use vacuum tubing if you have vacuum tubing, or you can wrap them in electrical tape, or you can just not use anything. The only reason I do is I just don't like the teeth to dig in and cause cuts or anything into the fuel line. So I try to protect the fuel line. So all I would do is clamp it here to stop the flow of fuel from the fuel tank onto that hose, and then whatever fuel is in here, clamp it as well so no fuel comes out. Then just take a normal pair of pliers, crimp on that, and then just slide them down. Remove these up or down, whichever way we got to go. And now I can get my fuel line or my fuel filter loose. Just spill a little bit of fuel instead of making a big mess. And then just reverse the order of putting it all back together. So I will be replacing this summer once I can get my hands on one. All right, next what we're going to do is change the oil. So this is your drain tube to drain the oil out of the engine. It's tucked up underneath here, and it's held in by a clip. Now I went ahead and pulled this out, and to show you how you can release this from underneath. Basically, all you need to do is, it would be clipped in like so. You just push up on this top piece, and you see the bottom piece just comes out. So again, I'll just take this off so we can do a little bit of a close-up. So this is pressed into the side of the frame rail. You just need to push up on this top piece here, and then this bottom piece will release. And then you can pull this out to get to the cap and drain the oil. So with that said, I've got a pair of pliers here to hold this end, 3/4 inch, and we'll just loosen the cap. And we'll let the oil drain out, which will take a few minutes. So there's about 2 quarts of oil in there. So just make sure you have a pan big enough that can catch 2 quarts. Alright guys, as you can see, the oil pan's pretty darn full. Like I said, it drains out about 2 quarts total. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my drain plug back in. I'll clip that back in place here in a minute when I put the clip and everything back together. But the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and remove the oil filter. And as you will see, some oil will drain out, so make sure you have your pan ready as well. Now the replacement filter that I got, the original filter, the 4906570, the original filter 490657007 has been replaced with a 490650721. So here's the new part number that's been replaced, and I'll take a picture and put it on here. The one thing I like to do is just take a little bit of oil and just put it on the seal here, and then just go ahead and thread it on. So I'll just take a little of this oil, wipe it on here. This is just a personal preference thing. And then I'll thread the new oil filter on. And again, you don't need to crank this thing on there. I mean, you can do it hand tight, real good, hand tight, and it'll stick and it won't leak. So with that said now, I need to go ahead and take care of this little bit of a mess. Get it all cleaned up. And then what I'll do is right here is where we need to put the oil in. I'll add 2 quarts of oil. They say you should run 30 weight in this. Reading the owner's manual. And not like a 5W30 or 10W30, but to run 30 weight. And the reason they say that is the 5W30 or 10W30 weight oils can cause you to burn a little oil. I'm going to run a 30 weight synthetic in this. Again, it's just personal preference. You can run a 30 weight conventional oil or regular oil and not a synthetic, but you do need to run a 30 weight. Or if you do decide to run a 5W30 or 10W30 because you can't find any 30 weight, you'll just need to check your oil throughout the summer and maybe top it off a little bit if you do use a little bit of oil consumption. Alright, so 2 things I just wanted to mention real quick is if you've never changed oil before in these 5 quart containers along the spine here or near the handle, typically you will see the quart markings, so that way you can kind of see how much you've used and how much you need, have left. So you can use this to help you determine, if you've got 2 quarts put into the engine. The other thing is your waste oil. You can put it in an old milk jug, an old washer solvent bottle, whatever you have. In most auto parts stores, the AutoZone, Advanced Autos, those types of places will take the waste oil when you're done. So you can dispose of the waste oil properly. Okay, the other thing I want to do is there's 2 grease fittings right here on the front spindles, one on either side. And we're going to take our grease gun, put a little grease in here so it'll make it steer a little easier as well. Just give it a couple pumps. And you can see there's a little bit of grease now coming out the top, so that way you've got it greased up well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side the same way. So on my tractor, there's these 3 pins we need to remove. This one's in the front, and then we'll slide this bar out. And to remove this, kind of pull down like so. And just pop it out of the hole. And there you go. And then we'll pull this bar out. The other thing we'll need to do is this belt here, we'll need to slip it off this pulley when I get the back 2 off. May be hard to see, but here's the next pin we need to remove the same way. And then the same thing to the other side. Alright guys, so now we've got the bottom of the deck pretty well cleaned up. We've got most of the junk cleaned out, especially out of these holes here. As you saw from the still pictures that I put in there, a bunch of crap really jams up in here, and can affect obviously the mower deck, because all that crap is packed in there. It's packed into the pulleys, so it's a good thing to clear that out. So now you have the option of how you want to sharpen your blades. If you want to flat file it, it's strictly up to you. It'll take a long time to do it this way. If you have a Dremel, you can either do a stone or you can do a little cartridge roll here. Take your time, that'll be a little faster even yet. That's another option. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually remove the blades. I'm going to use my angle grinder with a flap wheel, and then just touch these up a little bit real quick. It'll just take a few moments, and then I'm just going ahead and put the blades back on. And this is a 24mm socket that you'll need to remove them. Remember which way you took it off as well. So you'll notice that the paddle here faces upward towards the deck. So I've got my angle grinder. You can see I've got a flat disc. I've got this clamped on to my workbench here. The one thing I like to use is a variable speed control with my angle grinder, and the reason being is I can slow the speed down. It's a little more manageable when using it. So it's just something I like to do. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it's something I like to do to have better control. As always, also make sure you have the correct protection, gloves on, eye protection, hearing protection, that kind of thing. The key is I just wanted to clean these up. So now I've got a much better edge. You can see there is a couple nicks in the blade. It is what it is. But overall now, I've got a much better edge, for the season. So now I'll go ahead and do the other three the exact same way. Alright guys, so I got the blades all done. And now it's time to put the mower back on. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed everything that I was able to show you today on how to maintain your mower, and it will help you maintain it for many, many more years of service. So I hope you liked the video. If you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell, and I'll do additional future content. Thank you very much for watching.